The council seem to have failed you, offering you properties that are high-rise. Do you trust Sheffield City Council?
I do not trust them 1 inch.
Do you trust South Yorkshire Police?
Not entirely.
So then if I do see you tomorrow morning, there is a chance that the police may turn up. What do you think the police will do?
I would hope that they would, something will be flagged up that they've been here before and they know the backstory, and that they would observe, and as long as nobody was out of order on all fronts, that they will be just observing, but knowing that this was what it is something that's just not happened like then and there. It's been going on, and it'll be on their records hopefully that they've been, and I've discussed what's going on. And
well then, tomorrow then, if I do see you, if you don't get the phone call, good luck tomorrow. I do believe a lot of nice people might turn up and observe peacefully.
Yeah, that's fine.
And expose what's actually happening. Just like the Royal Mail scandal, the mortgage scandal has been going on for years. And let's just see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a worrying 12 hours overnight. Sleep will be pretty much non-existent, Mark, I'm afraid. Oh, hello? Oh, it's been pulled now. Right, she's gone the extra mile, Catherine.
Okay.
His name is Lee Osborne at their end, and he's half of me thinks that he's gone really round the houses with it. I got a feeling at one point that he didn't believe who she said she was, or that we could afford the property, or even that the property existed. He's not convinced yet. He's concerned that I think that we're trying to, buy the time but not produce the goods. So he's given her till 5 o'clock tonight to be pretty assured that it's ours.
So they put an ultimatum on the table?
Yes, they have. It's got to be. They haven't cancelled tomorrow's action, because they've really got to make sure that Catherine is what she says she is and who she says she is. They've taken every small detail from her, which I thought was irrelevant, and questioned everything. She's been very thorough. She hasn't told any fibs. She's completely laid it on the line, and I obviously they found out that I've refused properties. But that she's also covered it with saying the truth, which is that they weren't suitable for Mr. Atkins' needs and my health needs. But As
an example of that, was it like a high-rise property?
It was a high-rise property, yes. There was the health and the fire risk and all kinds of things.
What floor was that on?
One of them was on the 7th floor.
That's interesting. Can I just ask you then, very briefly, now you've had this telephone call, you've got like a deadline in about 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah, 5 p.m. She said that she's going back to her people now.
The post office scandal coming out, they first denied any wrongdoings, didn't they?
Yes.
And it's all come out with Mr. Bates.
Yes,
yeah.
I watched it all.
Yeah,
bit to bit,
very
yeah.
interesting. It shows that even the post office can get it wrong.
Yeah.
What we have here appears to be a scandal, yet to be fully exposed.
There are quite a lot of people watching this video and quite concerned that they've left it like 20 hours to the deadline of your eviction before they've actually finally said, we're not going to call it off yet. So there's still a chance it might be called off. So for the many people watching this, and as shocked as I am to hear about your story, which we'll go into shortly, is there anything you'd like to say to people if the eviction goes ahead?
I'm appalled that they won't have believed, even speaking to a lady who was quite obviously authorised to say what she said, and doing her job to the, above and beyond her pay grade. And I'm if they let this go ahead, I just have no words can express how disgusted, disappointed, and how much these people need to be taken to task, that they would still, after genuine phone calls and genuine, reasons for what the person said, names of places, names of other people, locations, they're just determined, to me, deep down, that the only thing that they want is to see us humiliated in the process of what what is likely to happen tomorrow, which, absolutely astounds me. They've got no humility, no decency, and it's just brutal.
Absolutely. Have you ever seen anything called a deed of assignment?
I haven't, no.
Right. Do you know what a deed of assignment is?
I'm sorry, I have no idea.
Well, for reference, a deed of assignment is a legal document transferring rights and benefits under any previous agreement that will benefit any other person, and in this case, your mortgage matters. So originally, your mortgage was with GE Money.
Yes, it was.
And then it went to another company.
It did.
And then it went to another company.
It did.
So what were the other two companies called?
Engage Credit was the first company, who I'd never heard of, and didn't have any precedent to go by or any legally binding contract that we got. I was just told we will now be taking your direct debit under the name of Engage Credit.
So you never saw any deed of assignment?
No, I did not.
And then it went on to
CHL, which is who.
Are you currently dealing with now on the phone?
Yes, and who also, we were just told that it's been transferred to this company and the direct debit will come under their name.
Right, and so going back to GE Money,
Yeah.
You signed a mortgage agreement with them.
Yes, we did. A remortgage, actually. It was
Okay.
actually a remortgage.
And what was the second one called?
Engage Credit.
Did you sign any agreements with Engage Credit?
I did not.
And did you sign any agreements with CHL Mortgages?
No, I did not.
So they've automatically assumed that you owe them money.
Yes, they have.
Now, if they can produce a deed of assignment, and Engage Credits should have one from GE Money, and then CHL Mortgages should have two deeds of assignment.
Right.
One assigned to them from Engage Credit and a copy of the one from GE Money. So originally it came from GE Money. Now, if you've never seen any of these deeds of assignment, who are these people trying to steal your home?
I have no idea. I have never heard of them before. My son did Google CHL on my behalf because I do not have facilities to do that, and all he came up with that they're a corporate company. They do not give residential mortgages. They are actually corporate. To me means business, so I don't understand how they've come into the realms. It does say on their recorded message that they do not give mortgage advice, yet they are trying to. They've bought my mortgage apparently and are trying to evict me. So I do not understand the way that that's not their field. So how can they get? How did they get involved in this?
Doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't to me either.
So who are CHL Mortgages? Here we have Ross Terrell, Commercial Director, Andy Valvona, National Accounts Manager, Andrea Gizzi, Paul Flood, Mil Consiglio, Darren Turkovich. Well, my message to these people is this: will you be properly investigating these matters? Or is it all about the money? And as a third-party interloper, how much money are you going to make out of this when the previous company ceased trading?
If people turn up tomorrow, what would you like people to do?
I'd like people to realise that this just isn't a case of can't pay, won't pay, and have ignored you, and we've got to the point where you, the company, have had no choice. It's not that at all. It has got a backstory. We have been paying something towards this thing for over 10 years, and it's been just. I've been in contact with them. I've had a key worker for well over 3 years from different places who's also liaised with them, and I've done all I can. They stated that they've done all they can and bent over backwards, as they said in an email to my son, that they have done all they can to help me. That is not true. They have not done all they can to help me. I have always done what I could to tell them my circumstances, health. Even when I was very ill in hospital, they had the details of my operation. Everything's been laid bare.
Can I just say then, tomorrow you'd like people just to witness what goes on, wouldn't you?
An injustice. That's what I'd like people to witness, an injustice with a backstory.
And just going back to GE Money now, the original people who you had a mortgage with, they got fined millions of pounds and paid out lots of compensation. Are you aware of that?
I am aware of something like that, yes.
Have you ever received any compensation?
I got £500 years ago from GE Money and an apology.
So the apology was probably acceptable, but probably insulted because they only gave you £500.
Well, all it was a phone call from a lady on their reception desk who apologised for having put us through upset, leading to me telling them that I'd got anxiety and IBS, which I still have, which has obviously got worse and worse. They're sorry for everything, and would I accept that?
The burning question for me is this. GE Money originally had a mortgage agreement that you signed. It somehow got into the hands of somebody else, and then it went to court, didn't it? And then you was told to just pay £40 a week.
We were, yes.
Have you ever missed any of those payments?
I haven't. In 10 years, it was started in 2014, and even today, Wednesday the 6th of March, the day before the house is due to be taken from underneath me, I have still paid, and I can prove, and to date I have paid upwards of £30,000, which is gone because it's an interest-only mortgage, and there's no chance of me getting that dead money. I've done that for goodwill. Not because I want to be friendly with them, but I thought that was the right thing to do.
Well, it's very interesting the fact that, you know, the court did say pay £40 a week with engaged credit, and then somehow it went into CHL Mortgages, which then appeared to have broken the court order in some way. I don't know how. So why did CHL take you to court then?
Well, they must have bought the debt off engaged credit, and they obviously now have got the stranglehold on the house. It's their house.
So I'm questioning now if they bought that toxic debt,
yes,
we'll call it,
yes,
because you've identified that as a toxic debt.
Yes, I have. I believe that's what it's called.
Anything that was already binding by that original toxic debt should really still stand, in my view.
Yeah, it should. I understand there is such a thing as a toxic mortgage.
But the interesting thing is the deed of assignment. Engaged credit, you've never seen one that transfers GE Money to them.
No, I haven't. No, I have not.
I wonder if one actually exists.
Well, you know,
or whether it does have any bearing on this matter.
A normal high street lender would obviously make sure that you got everything up front so that you could keep everything for your records, and, you know, it just in case anything did happen. But these people are not. They're not front line. Like when you get a car, you get prime lenders for your finance that everybody knows about, and then you get what they call subprime, which is more interest, but not as they only take on people who have defaulted in the past, and that's how I think we've got to this. It's a subprime organisation.
Yeah, well, it seems to me that there's more matters that should be investigated.
There's a lot more matters,
and it appears to be fraudulent based on what you told me.
There is a lot of ins and outs which, if I could have afforded the services of a solicitor who would have taken this on, I'm sure that a lot of these things would have been brought up in a court of law and delved into, and I'd have wanted, you know, the outcome may have been the same, but I'd have had the satisfaction of knowing that all this was brought out into the open.
Well, if there can be a Royal Mail scandal, then there can be a mortgage scandal.
I agree, and that's what brought it to a head a few months ago when that was on the television, and I realised there are people that can do this to you, and it struck a chord with me that if I could have found anybody else, just another couple of couples, our age group, who've been put in this situation, who have lost their homes or about to, I would have liked to have got everybody together, and I would have liked to have known what their experiences are, to see if the two could marry up, to see if we could, because obviously there's strength in numbers, and I'm sure that out there's some frightened person that's been evicted.
A forgotten legacy of another scandal surrounding endowment mortgages. For example, a BBC article in January 2013 reported that a lady took the plunge and bought the first and only house she has ever owned. And only then, more than 2 decades on, she admits that paying off the resulting debt has been a constant worry. That is because she was sold an endowment mortgage, a monthly savings plan, usually invested in shares and property, which was designed to pay off the home loan at the end of the term. She was also told that the policy might bring her a nice lump sum when the endowment matured after 25 years. In her case, the surplus was expected to be at least £10,000 in August 2013. This lady was 55 years old, and she said this: "I hadn't any fancy ideas about going on a spending spree. I just thought I would be comfortable with the mortgage paid off." This lady back then was also among hundreds of thousands of people who received final confirmation of expected shortfalls in the expected payouts regarding their endowments. This lady also went on to say, "There will be people in a lot worse situation than I am," and that she was just glad she kept chipping away at paying it. So in reality, was there any real optimistic expectations from these endowment policies back then? The rise and fall of endowment mortgages has been a feature of one of the most notorious mis-selling scandals identified decades ago. And just like the post office scandal, we are now starting to see the victims of this. But what concerns a lot of people right now is, will it be another 20 years before it gets thoroughly investigated? The endowment industry originally grew as a result of tax breaks and peaked by the end of the 1980s before it became the fashionable home loan for those getting on the property ladder. The estimated peak was more than 1 million policies sold in a single year. The extent of the subsequent decline is clear from the fact that only 27 sales of this product were completed in 2011-2012, and that's according to the city watchdog, the Financial Services Authority, the FSA. At the end of the 1980s, there was a boom in both the housing market and stock market, prompting those selling these products to make very high predictions of investment growth in endowment savings plans. By the middle of the 1990s, it became obvious that these expectations were overblown. Decades ago, Philip Bray of Independent Financial Advisors Investment Sense said, "The original growth estimates on these policies were simply way too optimistic, while the funds just didn't perform as expected." So back then they knew. And then he went on to say, "In the coming years, we'll see just how bad the endowment mortgages mis-selling scandal is." And here is what I believe, another victim.
I beat myself up. I shouldn't have answered the phone on the cold call. That night, I shouldn't, Mark, I shouldn't, but it's too late now. And that's basically, the little man, like they said on there, the little man can't fight the big money man.
Does Philip want to sit there and just say the words?
Philip, do you want to say anything? You don't? No, he does have a problem in, putting things over without...
Yeah, that's okay.
They've got to come over properly without being rude or anything. That's it's just...
Well, I'll give you a ring later tonight, and hopefully they will put off the eviction, and hopefully the company will help find you a house. But there's a chance that this could all be fraudulent, and you might be having what they call a legal steal, whether such a term exists or not. But it seems like they are passing off paperwork to claim that you owe them money, when no deed of assignment transferring rights to anybody appears to exist. Now, whether that's relevant in law, legal terms, I don't know.
No.
But maybe somebody watching this could.
But the main thing is, Mark, they will expect me to give them details where I've gone, and they will expect me to go at some point either to a court or to come to an agreement for when the house is sold or whatever, auctioned. They will expect me and my husband to be paying them the shortfall.
Well, if it is what they call stealing someone's property, would a thief ask for compensation for petrol costs to come to your house to steal?
Of course not. But they will expect us to come to some agreement with them for whatever it goes for. There will be a gap to what we owe them.
How about the agreement is, let it drop because you probably paid pennies on the pound for this house and you're collecting a lot more money on it.
Yeah, I mean, what we've paid in the £40 has just gone down the drain. It appears nowhere. It's been swallowed up because interest-only mortgages are dangerous, and we should never have been allowed to have that.
That's why GE Money got fined thousands of millions of pounds.
Yeah, because
mis-selling the mortgages.
We now wonder that I was cold called on a ex-directory telephone on a landline. Now, that's not allowed to happen anymore. The government outlawed that a long time ago. So, and the way the man came, he pressured us. He stayed here 4 hours. So obviously he was determined to leave here without, with a signature, which he did, unfortunately, which I strongly regret now. But things happen and whatever, that's all history. But now they're not, they'll still want whatever this goes for. They'll expect me to come to some agreement. But I'm hoping that agreement will only be the smallest amount, because obviously we're retired, we've only got an income of the state pension, so I can only hope that I might get my redress in the fact that they are never going to get this debt settled totally.
The man you told me did fetch cake to win you over, didn't he?
He did fetch cake to win me over.
Well, let's just hope that the next cake you eat, you've got the icing on the cake.
Well, I'm hoping so, but I'm very pessimistic, and I just got the little impression on that phone call there that no matter how, they still had a little bit of doubt that Catherine was who she was, and that she had got the power to actually implement what she said she could. But at the moment, I'm still, my heart's going. I'm still not.
Well, if I don't hear of a phone call, they've come through to you to say yes or no, I'll see you tomorrow morning.